Hi, I'm Barbara Calvi, licensed marriage and family therapist, and I want to welcome you to the Couples Corner. So today is episode 3 in my series on your brain, friend or foe of your intimate relationship. Today I want to talk about why we often get into discussions and fights with our partners about no, I never said that. Yes, you did. No, I didn't. Yes, you did. And why you remember the same interactions in often very different ways and how that ends up creating more conflict. So, our brains are phenomenal organs, and our brains have to process a lot of information. In fact, our brains are inundated with almost 2 million bits of information that it has to process every single second. Almost 2 million bits every single second. Here's the tricky part. Our brains can really only process about 147 bits of information, give or take 10. In any given second. Because if it tried to process all of the information coming at it, we would be paralyzed. We would not survive as a species because we would be overwhelmed by stimulation and we wouldn't be able to function. So imagine if in my hand you tried to give me every second almost 2 million toothpicks to hold in my hand. Every second. What would happen? Well, the vast majority of those toothpicks would just tumble to the ground. I could only hold on to maybe 147 of those toothpicks. So this is how our brain tries to function and help us survive. And what that means is the brain has to be very selective of which pieces of information it picks and what it does with them. So our brains will process certain information, and what determines which pieces it will pay attention to, which pieces it absolutely won't, it depends on our filters. So you probably have had experiences where you were with someone and after the event, they said something, oh, did you notice those two people over in the corner look like they were about to have a fight? They looked like there was a lot of tension. Oh, really? I never noticed that. It just escaped your awareness because you were paying attention to something else. Well, one of the things that determines what we end up paying attention to are these filters. And these filters are developed in a variety of areas, and they're influenced by a variety of things. So one is going to be your DNA and your genes and what's kind of wired in from the beginning. Another set of filters is going to have to do with the broader culture in which you were raised. Another set of filters is going to be your family culture and what are the explicit, the spoken, and the implicit, unspoken messages and lessons you learned in your family culture. Another one of those set of filters are going to be what are the direct experiences you have with your family. Another set of filters are what are the direct experiences you're going to have as you go out into the world, as you become an older child and interact in the world in school and with friends. Another set of filters is going to have to do with how you engage as you go out into the world even more with the broader environment. So all of these things figure in how we experience and interpret the information that we get in the information that comes into the brains. So our brains have to either delete information, like the toothpicks falling out of the hand, altogether, or they have to generalize information. For example, when you were very young, you learned what a door was that had a doorknob on it, and you learned how to open that door. If your brain did not have the capacity to generalize, every time you walked up to a door, you would have to figure out, oh, there's this knobby thing on it. Do I pull the knobby thing or do I push the knobby thing? Do I twist the knobby thing to the side, one side, or do I twist it to the other side? Or do I twist it and then pull? Or do I pull and then twist it? Or do I go to the side without the knobby thing and do something over there? We would have to do that every single time we came up to a door if our brains didn't generalize. And then the other thing your brain does, it categorizes things and it kind of remembers things pretty accurately. So all that is going on. And what that means is when you and your partner have an experience together or you have an interaction and you find yourselves at odds with how things played out, you said this. No, I didn't. I never called you a name. Yes, you did. I heard you. And then you get more upset with your partner because you think they're lying, or you think they're making something up to get out of being in trouble with you, or you think they're making something up um, to get you into trouble, or you think they're making that up or on purpose to be insensitive. When really what's happening is they're seeing things through a different set of filters. And remember what we talked about last week with the 80-20 rule, and when we flip our lids, if we're already responding and reacting from an emotional part of the brain, that is when things get really confused and we can't really sort out exactly the memory of what happened because the thinking part of the brain wasn't engaged when we were experiencing it. All it's really remember is the sense feeling of that experience. That makes things really complicated. So the idea here is, if in knowing that, when you're next time you're in a back and forth with your partner like that, to be able to stop, to be able to recognize, oh, you have a different brain with different filters and a different threshold for when you flip your lid than I do. And so we experience this differently. Not that one is right and one is wrong, that one is the truth of what happened and one is a lie about what happened, or that there is one answer, but to think about it in terms of, oh wow, so I experienced this, and you experienced this was your perspective, and allowing space for both those perspectives to live side by side, and being curious about, well, tell me more about what you remember. Tell me how you felt about what you remember. Tell me what that all meant to you, because the very specifics of how it played out are really not going to matter. It's what people experienced and the meaning they made of it. And when you can get past the facts, the words, and make room for both of you to talk about the felt experience of it, then you have a place from which to be able to be compassionate. Wow, I had no idea that would hurt you. This is what my intention was. I really just meant it as an offhand remark, or whatever it may be. But now you have a place to be able to be much more willing, hopefully, to listen to your partner and what their experience was, and kind of put together the pieces of the puzzle and just kind of notice that, yeah, we had very different experiences. Mine wasn't more right than yours. Let's talk it through, and then let's come together and repair from the rupture or the breach, the disconnection, the bad feelings that happen. Join me for part 4 next week in episode 4 in my series on the brain, friend or foe of your intimate relationship. And until next time, take good care.